All right, this is Michael. We're going to show you how to make a good ground on your scooter, because I think the most important thing is even before you install the battery to your connection or get your scooter powered up, you want to make sure you have a good ground. I have it pre-set up here, but these are the tools you might want to use to make the setup here. So I have a ground block, some 10 gauge ground wires going to it with the round connectors, and then it's going to here. It's also, every time that I connect it to the frame, I make sure I use some kind of chisel to actually smoothen out the metal so any of the paint won't get in the way of the contacts. I decided to take it off the plastic because I was told that you know, for ground you don't want to be near a plastic if possible. Try to mount it to a solid frame piece like this one right here, where there's no plastic that's going to be on top of it. And you can see here is running all the way even to my rectifier. Again, on the back, I always put in the back where the metal frame is, because I want to have a good contact. So again, I use a filer. So these are the tools that you'll need to actually complete the job. So here we go. Basically, I'm going to add the filer back in here. All right, so you're going to need a soldering, just in case you need to do a little bit of soldering on some of your wire connection that you might find that actually is broken. Optional, some people, they say they can use it better with some flux. So here's some flux. It looks like some kind of paste here. Gunk. And then you also need to make sure that you get some lead solder. Make sure those are conductivity ones. Again, the soldering here, you can choose your choice. There's a gun one, there's a propane one. I just got the single pin wired one. You're gonna need some silicone. Try and use it with a narrow tip, because you want to be able to seal precisely in that area inside the housing. You're gonna need a Phillips. Pretty much if you need to remove your battery first of all. And then also you're gonna need 8mm socket to remove some of the bolts, and then the 10mm to remove some of the frame bolts, the bigger bolts. Your socket wrench. You're gonna need a wire splicer, and optional if you want to go with a 10 gauge, or even you can get away with maybe just a 12 gauge. But make sure you get the one, just in case you need to intertwine them, the one that actually has stranded, not the solid. There's some solid copper ones. They're good conductivity ones, but those ones are they're solid. You might want to be able to twist the wires and, you know, maybe do a little bit more strand work with them. You're gonna need some, maybe a smaller 12 gauge one for some of your own wire repair in the harness, which I'll show you what I had to do. You're gonna need like some kind of terminal block. This one right here, it's individual, so it goes from here to here. You can see that's why I pretty much shorted it again. Even though these things are chisel and they're connected, I looped it around, so I created two of the ground blocks in the terminal right here. So I created myself a couple terminal, and this was some extra pieces out, but they come in a package like this. You might need some butt connectors here to be able to join some wires together if needed. I might have used a few. And then mainly you want to get yourself some 16 by 14 gauge. These are gold plated ring terminals here. I use some of these, but you can get away with just using the standard one. The gold plate might last you a little bit longer. So you can see here, I use some of the silver ones here, and then some gold plate one here to see the difference. And I'm going to go ahead and just guide you a little bit what tools I use. You're going to also use some heat shrink. You may take a pair of scissors if some of these are too long. You can see I actually doubled the heat shrink. I put a black one here, and then I put a green one here. So I use pretty much this one right here, and then I also use the big one here, and I kind of just shrink it together. And then again, the 10mm socket, this one right here, will fit these bolts like right there. Sorry. Fit these bolts right here like this. This one will take a smaller 8mm. So you need your 8mm socket for this one to remove these out. If you notice here how I have it, I kind of have it I create two ground blocks. I'll show you a reason why I did that from here. And then I dragged the wires over here, and I spidered it. And now one of them loops to the valve cover, and then the valve cover has another wire going into the battery terminal. So eventually it goes all into the negative terminal, but mainly it also makes contact with the bike frame in every point. So even if the bike frame loses one contact point of ground, you still have several that will actually feed into the frame. So I'm sure the chances of most of these things that are not thoroughly ground, the plates that are not welded ground, which I doubt it, because most of the time when they're welded inside the actual metal itself before they powder coat it with the paint. So that's why you want to scrape the paint off when you're making your own ground contact onto the metal frame. And then I have another one going to the rectifier again. Now I'm also going to do another one here for example for you so you can see it. I'm going to create another ground wire from the rectifier plate here. There's actually two bolts actually holding it right there. You can probably see it right there. I'll show you the back side of it. Here we go. So you can see the back side of it right there. So you can see here, I put my wire between the back plate of the metal frame that's welded, and then onto the wire, and then I put the rectifier on top. So we could make another round here, but I don't want to route the wire going diagonal. I want to keep it tucked in as possible, so I'm probably going to use the same, which is fine. It's going to be able to tap in serial anyway to the other ground wire. I'm probably going to run it all the way up here. You know, just kind of run it from here straight up. And then I'll probably look for a nice piece of frame here. See that bolt right there? That might be a good one we could put it in. It's right there. So we'll put on the other side, of course. We're gonna follow it down till the paint comes off. It might be a little bit hard to get to now that I have the plastic housing on, so we might actually, well, that's still a good one. I really have more confidence. Or we can even probably put it right here. I mean, it makes no difference. We can probably put it right here and maybe loop it around, make it a little nice. Yeah, we can just put it right here and follow it. So I'll show you that example. So that way we can have a midsection ground of the bike frame, a back section already taken care of. Now we got our front section here taken care of. So anything that we want to maybe ground directly, like all these green wires here are mainly your ground wires. They will actually work even if you break it and run it directly to this bolt here that's connected to ground. So, which it is. Even if you don't have it, I'm very confident that my bike is thoroughly ground, that any point of these metal, if you were to penetrate it through the paint, you can get ground. Even this little piece of rusted wire right here is still ground. So even if we don't run a wire here, I just want to be confident. I'm just going to run the wire anyway just to be certain. But so we're going to do that, and then again the 10mm also fits the battery socket here too. So 10mm and 8mm socket is mainly what you need. You're going to need a voltmeter too. We're going to do some testing on how to make sure you have proper ground and also good contacts on your wires that you might need to replace, and that's why I recommend getting this 16 gauge wire. The reason why was I found out they had a ground issue because these Chinese scooters, how they wire from the manufacturer, or if they even get good wiring harness, they put a bundle of ground wires right here, and it comes to this little harness here. All your tail lights, your left and right turn signal lights, as well as your running tail light, as well as your brake lights, they all join to a little thin wire that you can see here. This wire I replace, it's actually thin as the rest of these wires right here. You can see that? You can see how the green wire is a little bit, let me get some resolution here. You can see how the green wire is actually more thicker than all the rest, because this is actually the wire that I ran myself here. The reason why I found out that it was actually a dud wire was I checked it out with the voltmeter, and I wasn't getting 12 volts on the negative lead coming to it. I put the positive lead on my battery, and all these wires normally would give you 12 volts. And with the negative ground wire, with the negative lead connected to it, I didn't get it. So I'm going to show you right now how to troubleshoot we're wiring. Now, when I did probe into the little contacts inside the harness here, I actually was able to get 12 volts. So I know that the contact is good from this point onward, where it connects to here and all the way over here. So it was just the wire itself. It didn't show any kind of physical damage or anything, but I guess the wire can actually burn itself internally. You'll never know. And I kept on splicing it an inch by inch by inch to see if I can salvage the wire without having to pull the pin out. And by the way, you can actually pull these pin out. You can just take it out. Here, let me take this off this rubber boot. Okay, so get my finger in here. There we go. So you can actually pull these pin out, and the green wire is right there in the middle section. You can see here that I replace. So what you do is take a little small, you can see like see how that little thing that hooks onto it. You just take a little flathead, maybe like one of those glasses repair kits, and just put it in there and kind of flex it inward, or kind of flex it flat down again. And when you can flex it flat down, you can pretty much, you can see through it. You can yank it out like right there. You can just yank it all out, and then try your best to open that gap up and salvage it, because it's very hard to find wire harness just for the tail light. I mean, most of the wire harness will give you from the rectifier to the stator to the ignition switch and everything. But when it comes to finding things for like your custom Chinese scooter, try to salvage your harness, because they are hard to find on the internet. You won't be able to find them anywhere mainly. So I had to pretty much work with what I have. I salvaged it. And now how I found it was short was my Gibby light didn't work. My Gibby light, how this work is, here's the wiring for him, right? So what happened was the black wire was creating spark. And this is a ground wire, by the way. You could tell by the color code for one thing, but also the red wire was my positive line, which is fine. But everything else worked, but my ground on my black wire just died on my Gibby. And these wire harness here, it's Atmore Lighting Company that actually makes them for the Gibby. Gibby doesn't make these LED accessories. So they come here, they have a little switch here. You can actually toggle, and they always recommend to turn everything on. The wire should facing down, so I did that. There's a little wiring schematic there, but you can see here, one side of it goes to the bushing of the wires right here. I'm yanking on, twisting here, you can see there. And then it kind of splits into here, and then this goes into here. And then on the rest of it, there's a little plate there that seals the water. And then the wire runs like this. Well, you have to run it yourself, but I did it. And then it comes into here. I might have to put some silicone on this one to get it the adhesive to work better. Okay, and then it also splits off to here, and then you have to drill a hole, of course. So I drilled it right there, and then I drilled one right here, and then they have a strip of LED that you attach, and it fits perfectly here. That wire harness alone, just this part onto here, will cost me $75 with shipping. They don't give you free shipping. Now the whole kit itself, just the wiring harness and the LED itself, is $149. So it's very expensive. So I'm going to try to see if I can salvage it and repair it. Troubleshoot now that we have actually a dedicated ground line block. We might be able to get a little bit more. Can you imagine all these wires here from your tail light? This is how the Chinese manufacturer, I mean, they wire it to a point where they know it's probably going to be faulty, you know, after the sale. But here we go. See, look how thick this green wire is. You got the green wire from your signal light. I believe this is the shortest one, so it's probably on the farthest left here back of me. So this is going to be your left signal light, or your right signal light, sorry, because I'm facing the opposite direction. So this is your right signal light because it's more closer to all the wiring. You can assume that safely. And here is your left signal light. Look at the green wire as well. It's so thick. These wires are good wires. They're thick wires, but they made the silliest thing. They actually mounted or connected it all, including the tail light wires. Here's the tail light wires here. You can see there. Look at that. See that green wire? Look how thick that is. That's more like almost closer to about, that's probably closer to about my 16 wire gauge here. Or I'm sorry, 12 wire gauge. So, and it's stranded, of course. Stranded means that all these little wires are here. See that? So if you need to repair those, that's why it's good to have that kit. And then I put some silicone here on the tip of it because I want to show you how it kind of puts force on it as I go. Hopefully I don't drop it. There you go. I put some silicone here because the wire was being yanked on so much it looked like it was going to rip itself off. So put some silicone to kind of gel it to help a little bit support, have a little like sort of a, you know, a little full 360 hip hip cushion there. That way it won't, once it's solid more, it gives it a little bit more the wire support, because you know, these wires get yanked on when we're working on it so much. Usually when it's in place is okay, but it still has a lot of tension because they're so stiff and they're thick. So these big, huge 3 ground wires were, and not only that, in addition to my 2 small, you know, I had a tail light black wire here also, and then a small one here, and it was just an overload on the ground. I mean, the ground was literally this thin right here, and it was all 3 of these thick wires, which were thicker than the actual ground wire here, was feeding itself into this one green wire. It was kind of hilarious. And I saw how they actually teed it off. It was exposed. I mean, the wire looked like they were just wound it up, and maybe a dap of solder or something that was holding it, but it was barely holding it. It was just so exposed. So if you actually see a bunch of green wires coming to your single, you know, a bunch of thick green wires coming to your single green wire, just, you know what, cut it off, save yourself some trouble, especially if you're hooking expensive, you know, lighting system again. You don't want to actually have a ground issue that's just shorting out your wires. And I think that's probably what caused the problem with the Gibby not lighting up, because I think it got shorted with all, I mean, I connected like a total of 1, 2, including the tail light, 3, left and right, 4, 5 green wires coming to this one thin wire here. And you know, it didn't really last that long. It just burnt out, and how I found out that was, which I'm going to show you right now. So what you do is you have to have a battery connected. By the way, make sure you have good ground before you, well, that's the thing we're doing now, is trying to make sure you get good ground. So that's okay. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and turn on the key, just to the light position. Okay. So our battery is about medium level. You really can't take this gauge for certain. That's why I installed a digital gauge too. I'll show you how that next time. And there we go. So we're gonna go ahead and hook our little simple meter here. Just a simple meter, nothing sophisticated. I'm not gonna intimidate you with those little plug-in $500 meter. This is probably what, $13 meter. So it's not gonna do all that the $500 can do, but at least it's gonna be simple enough where you can actually see the basic of it. So here we go. Let me go ahead and take out my alligator. So I tie it neatly here, and now I have to get off. Same way. Let me see if I can do this way. Don't want it to knot. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this pair of alligator clips here done and straighten out. There we go. I need 2 hands for this. Okay, so here we go. We're just gonna straighten it out. This is what I love about the other charger, which I'm going to introduce you to. It actually salvaged my battery for my Shure. I tried to charge the Shure with its original charger that's recommended from Shure, but it wouldn't charge. Remember, I cranked it so many times below the safety voltage. It stopped charging the Shure battery itself at 10.5 volts, but I actually was able to restore it with the Nuku charger, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. So here we go. I got these on here now. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to test out for our 12 positive. And then we're going to go ahead and keep this negative open. We're just going to go ahead and clamp it onto here. And there's our positive. Our positive is clamped. Okay, so this is how you would test out your wires to make sure it's good. I'm going to see if I can place this here. That way I can show you. Okay, so I got my meter. By the way, this battery is the one that couldn't charge past 10.5 volts. Now, I played around with the battery a little bit, so it might drop the voltage a little bit, but it actually charged. I didn't even keep it long enough. I charged it. It took only 20 minutes. It went from 7.2 volts with this Nuku charger, and it charged in 20 minutes. It got it to 13.13 volts. But here's the battery reading right now. Look at that. Wait. Sorry, sunlight. Okay, so it's 9.75 volts right now. So it's very low. I have it on. So I was playing around with the lights, but I just want to show you. But when we charge, I'll show you when we're going to test charge it again. Here we go. So, oh, I just yanked the probe here. Want to make sure my positive is connected. Okay. See if I can do better with this one. I'm not sure if I can make good contact, so I'll just use the probe instead. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my hand. You can see the wires. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna come around and test it. There we go. We'll leave this here. Okay, I just did the probe. Okay, remember again, the positive is already hooked up to the battery terminal. Okay, I'm just gonna set this to volts. Right now it's testing millivolts, but you want to make sure if you have a good ground anywhere, like for instance, well, we can test our ground right now. Look at that. It should read the battery, right? 9.72. I hope you can see this. Let me see, make sure first. There you go, you can see it. Okay, so you can see here I have good ground everywhere because of the bike frame. There we go. Look at all that bolts. If I can make it, especially here, of course. See that? 9.76, 9.76. If I put it into my little ground block here, 9.76, 9.76 volts, 9.7. Now these wires, if they have a good connection to the source and ground, they should all light up. All these are your turn signal, tail lights, and brake lights. They're all connected, okay? So here we go. What I'm going to do is probe them. This is how you can tell if your wire is bad. See that? It reads 9.66 volts. So this wire is good. This wire right here, orange one, 9.66 volts. So this one's good. Okay, I'm gonna read the green one here that we just installed fresh. This one before did not read anything. It was in the millivolts, meaning there was an open in the line. 9.7 volts again. And I'm not sure if I did the green and yellow stripe, but here we go. 9.67 volt. Now the brown wire is gonna be tricky because the brown wire is not supposed to read the voltage here because it's going from positive to positive. This is actually your 12 volt positive line, even though it's brown color. I don't know why they did that, but it actually is your positive line. See that right here is reading millivolts. That means it's like an open line sort of, or not really connected. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch the leads here. Now a lot of people think that, you know, these meters have to be certain the polarity of color, which is good for your own reference, but it's just gonna show a negative reading. So instead of me trying to grab my black alligator clip, just excuse me, okay? Don't get confused. I'm just gonna take the wires here. Now I'm actually reading negative here. Okay, and now I'm going for a positive reading on my wire here and the brown wire. So the engine is still turned on. You want to make sure the engine's on, of course, because it needs to get power. Now watch the brown wire now. This is supposed to be positive now because I switched the leads. Okay, it's gonna be a negative, but it still show the battery positive signal here. I'm not sure you can see it. There we go. And by the way, I got this technique from shout out to Anthony Myers. He's going to be shooting up his video soon. It's going to be called, I believe it's AM, his initial. Maybe Motorsports, maybe more. There we go, 9.59 volts. There you go. It's just a negative, just ignore the negative because I switched the leads on it. See? So that's how you can tell all your wires and contacts are really good. And the thing about, remember we had an issue with our headlights, so let's do that too as well. We're going to find out right now if it's the bulb or is it the connector. So let's go ahead and put this back in our positive. Right here. Let's see if we can close this so we can get a little bit more access. And let's see if we can take this out and test the leads on it and see if the... Now I might have to switch the high beam on in order to trigger the pulse for the other wire, but we'll see. Remember again, it's a dual element. You know, most of this, your turn signal will probably be single element. So you can get a good shot there. Let me see if I can pull out far enough from here this way. So I'm gonna reach under. There we go. Take out his rubber housing. And the thing with this one is you have to flex it like a little taco and then you can spin it. So I'm gonna spin, I believe it's counterclockwise, yeah. Okay, there we go. After I spin, it should all come out. Okay, I'm gonna take it out with the bulb. You don't need to take out the bulb. It's the LED that was defective. Remember, we couldn't get it to light up on the regular driving light, but only the high beam works. So here's how we could tell. Okay, so we got our negative terminal there, and we want to see first. See if I can get out much enough for you here. See that right? You want to go for the back. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can get a little bit more closer here. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, see if I can sort this out. You remember there's 3 wires going to it. There's a ground wire, which is green color. Okay, and then there's, we're going to check to make sure all the wire contacts are good. We have it right now, I believe is on our negative. So let's go ahead and just leave it on voltage. Don't worry. You can reset it just to see, make sure. Okay, so there's our negative lead here, and then we have 2 high and low beam leads right here. I just lay a label them left and right. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and test these out. I think the negative one, let's see what it reads. Oh, it's reading ohms. It's weird. See if it's making good contact. Okay, see, there's a battery voltage again. I have 9.67 volts. From the contact, I mean the contact is good, so it has to be with the it has to be with the light bulb. But there's 2 more contacts here. Now instead of going all the way back here for these pins, you can see that they're screwed in here, so I can just get them from here. Okay, so let me go ahead and tap in these contacts. There you go. I'm getting a voltage reading of 8.94 volts, which is fine. It's dropping a little bit because we're playing around with the stator's not charging the battery. So let's look at this lead. There you go. So our lines are both good. This is 9.63 volts, and this looks like it's dropping down to a lower voltage. 8.9. That might be for a driving light. Maybe it needs a lower voltage. I'm not sure. I don't know too advanced yet on the voltage counting part, but all I know is how to check the continuity of the line. So we're going to wait for our lights to come in and we'll replace it, and it should work because all the contact lines there has worked. So now that we know how to check line contacts to make sure there's voltage or current. Now again, keep in mind though, some of them will not be turned on. If they're like a 12 volt, you have to make sure you switch your lead back from a negative. Well, you have to make sure you switch your lead back from a positive. We had a positive lead here, I apologize. From your positive to your negative to check to make sure there's 12 volt, because the circuit needs to complete itself from positive to negative. What it is electrons are pretty much your current, and that's measured in amps, how much volume of current, and that can only be travel force when there's a different polarity, like magnet. You know how they repel each other? And all that is just a bunch of magnet repelling each other, and that's what's that force, that tension is called voltage. So that's why you need it to have a path. So electricity will flow through the ground and it creates a path, and it, you know, pretty much makes everything work with the proper resistance. So that's it. That's how pretty much how I troubleshoot the line, and what I had with my Givy here issue here. So I decided to cut my wires and just redo my ground and make sure I got good ground on it, and that's what we're going to continue on. Okay, by the way, before we even do that, let's go ahead and charge up this sucker here. I'm going to show you how fast it can charge with the Nuku charger versus the Shure charger. I was very impressed by it, and also the wiring harness is not cluttering and messy like this. You can see here, it's nicely just like solid. I mean, it has this NOCO branding right there on the thing. It feels solid. The clips are awesome looking. They look like Mercedes-Benz symbol. I think this is the Mercedes-Benz of or even Rolls-Royce of chargers here. You can see it's almost like a contact where it's dummy proof, of course. You can see here they put a triangle and a circle, so you can't fit a square into a round peg, they say, right? So it's kind of dummy proof. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the charger. It just should be clipping. I can even do it one hand. And see, you can see that clip? It's very nice, it's solid. It's made from a really good rubber. And you know, most of these chargers are clunky and bulky. You know, going back to some of our old ones here, look at that. The tower one here. You remember this one here. You know, Grandpa's tin can one. You know what I mean? It has a little analog here, which barely charge anything. And then we got our jump starter here. Gentex are not put down on it. I mean, you know, it's Harbor Freight. You get what you pay for. But this sucker was like $150. You know, I expected a little bit more sturdiness from it. But this one was only like, I got open box one. It was brand new still. It was on Amazon, and I got it for like 45 bucks. So it was a steal. Normally they sell for about $59, but it's still a good deal for $59. It gives you like the voltmeter reading. Let's do a little product demo here. It gives you 25, 50, 75%. It charges at 12 volt. You have normal. I believe this is like a cold. And then and not only that, it's very smart. The minute you power it up, you don't have to push the power button. It knows what you want to do. You want to charge something, right? But it won't actually turn on until you actually connect the terminals to the battery. And we're going to actually even test it out with the acid lit battery here that was, you know, dead as a rock. So we're going to try to see if we can actually even salvage that. I remember that was reading at 1.5 to 2.5 volts. It's a 5-year-old battery. And we're going to see if we can actually charge higher. I think the most I ever got it from even that tender charger there, that old Grandpa's tin can. The highest I got it to charge was about maybe 7 volts. But it was discharging really fast. So the minute I took the first crank, it dropped it back down to 2.5 volts. So let's see if it actually can get a little bit more higher than that. And we have our new battery here, which I was able to use the Nuku charger to. I actually called Shure up, and they said it was okay. They actually they said this charger will work well for it, so that you can use it to actually tap your charge. So I did that, and remember, getting out of the box, it was like 13.3 volts or something like that. And this one actually charged it up. Amazingly enough, for a split second, it took 20 minutes. Remember, I cranked it and it got down to 13.07. And when I charged it up, it took about 20 minutes, and it got up to, I couldn't believe in my eyes, it was like 14.29 volts or something. And then it started discharging it for safety, or I guess. I don't know. It has like a mechanism. What happens is when you, let me hook it up. I'll show you all the lights and stuff. So let's go ahead and plug it in. I got the heavy duty wire still here with a Y shape because we're going to do some soldering later. We're going to go ahead and see. There we go. You can see how the lights just kind of blinkers out. See, the power's on automatically. There's nothing really to push there, I don't think. And let's see the mode. See, the mode will let you repair and so forth. But it knows when it's a lithium battery, because these are only 2 right here available for lithium. You got 6-volt normal, and then you got 3.5 amp lithium. So these 2 right here, I believe, are lithium, and then there's a repair. So these right here are for lithium, and these are for your regular car batteries and stuff like that. I mean, for your regular, you know, acid batteries like this and so forth, or car. So let's go ahead and try plug it in, and it actually remembers your battery type. So watch me plug it into this one again. Remember again, the voltage reading on this is about 9 point something volts, remember? So let's see how fast it can actually charge it to at least 13 volts. Again, this battery would not charge with the BSM S1 Cheray charger that was actually from Cheray itself. So we're gonna go ahead and put it on there. You can see how the clamp actually fits better than the bulky one. You can actually almost squeeze it all fully in. See there? It tees it all in. But you want to get good contact. Maybe you can go from back here if you want to. Probably just go ahead and go from the sides. But there's not many clutter of wires. You can see here, this is it. It's very clean. It has this branding all over it. I believe this is a fuse line too. It even has a fuse inside the line just in case you did something crazy. So it prevents it from destruction. Okay. All right, so look at this, check it out. You know, it's on the battery now, right? I think it's enough. And it all gives you plenty of cable. It's like almost a good 10 feet of extension cord here. Okay, so here it goes. It's right now in repair. I don't want to repair, so let's see if I can hit mode. Cycle it through. You can see here how it doesn't give me lithium yet. There you go, now it gives me lithium. You gotta hold down the mode button and then you can go ahead and go to the next one. Okay, but actually when it does find out if it's a lithium, when you charge the next lithium battery, it remembers your old setting, I guess. So now there it goes, lithium. Now it tells you it's 25%. Now I'm gonna put the voltmeter reading there. You can actually see how fast it's actually charging it. So here we go. Let's go and clamp. Let's go and clamp the positive one. Okay, we got positive here. We're gonna clamp into the one that making good contact. Okay, and then we're gonna take our alligator clips and let's go and clamp the negative one here. Okay. See, what's great about when you ground everything, you don't have to worry too much because everything will travel to the ground. It won't create a spark. Okay, so there it goes. Let's turn this on. Let's see how, look at that, 10.34 volts array right there off the bat. Remember this battery was at 9 or 8 something, right? So, well, actually we were testing our low beam. There it goes, 13.36. And it tells you it's still at 25%. Now what's gonna happen is it will light up, like Christmas lights almost. It will light up different colors, reaching 50, 75, and then when it reaches 100, it shows green, but it's like, what do you call that? Fading in and out green. But when it's actually a solid green, it'll stop all the other lights here, and it'll just be just one solid green. That means it's time for you to go ahead and pull it off the charger now. If you ever happen to leave it on, you know, overnight and you forgot about it, it's smart enough to actually not do anything overcharge. So it actually will probably kind of